Welcome to Behind the Cusp, a podcast diving deep into the layers of self-growth, inner work, and transformation. I'm your host, Marissa Mead, and after 15 years as a digital creator, I'm sharing my raw, unfiltered journey of healing and self-discovery to walk alongside you in yours. Together, we'll dive deep into the conversations that matter most, uncovering what it means to truly evolve from the inside out. This is where you elevate into transformation. So take a breath, settle in, and let's begin. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the show. We just got back from our ski trip a few days ago, and I am just integrating back into real life here. And you may be able to tell from my voice, it's sounding a little raspy. I started coming down with something yesterday, so I'm just loading up on all of the vitamins and good things. Travel sometimes can take it out of you. I feel like we were gone for literally a year, even though it was only 2 weeks, but we were in 4 different countries in Europe and traveling, on trains and buses and obviously our flights and everything. So I think my body is just experiencing a little integration, I guess, coming back home. And also I think it's like rejecting work. I was on my computer for probably like 8 or plus hours, 9, 10, I don't even know, hours yesterday. And I think my body's just like, what are you doing? I'm used to being outside and walking around all day, 20K steps in Europe. You know how it is. So anyways, we are back for another episode today, and this one is one that I've been so excited to share with you guys because it's a conversation that feels really deeply aligned with the season and overall evolution process that I have personally been in for the last several years, and maybe even one that you are in too. We are experiencing a lot of shifts right now as a collective, as a whole. And this episode really centers on returning to our true nature as women and aligning with our feminine energy. This is such a beautiful thing that has been huge in my life in the last 3 years, and I'm excited to open up this conversation with you guys today. So I'm joined by Ele De Posson for this conversation that is centered around the feminine, but in a way that feels very grounded and honest and actually applicable to real life. Ele is a spiritual mentor, author, founder of the Sacred Roots Mystery School, priestess, and dear friend of mine. We connected in an extremely divine way several years ago when I was in a deep process of rebirth on my own. You may remember that I went to Bali for several weeks back in 2023, and it was actually for a divine feminine retreat led by Ele. This was a hugely transformational time for me, opening my eyes to so many truths that have been hidden from us, aspects of who I am that I have lost or was never really connected to, and ultimately giving myself the permission, if you will, to slow down and return to that feminine nature. Following the retreat, I did a year of life coaching one-on-one with Ele, as well as her mystery school. And that was such a transformational experience. For some context, everything with my back started several weeks after I kicked off both the mystery school and coaching with Ele. And so I knew that as I was committing to this deep process of delayering and really like going inward and just growing as a person, expanding my own understanding of life and who I am and all of these things, it was no coincidence to me that I was hit with this entire journey with my back and all of that. And then fast forward to May when I had my surgery. That was 9 months into the process for both the mystery school and one-on-one coaching. And my back surgery, they basically were like, give yourself at least 9 to 12 weeks of healing. And so once I was through that like initial surgical healing process was right when both of these containers that I was in and committed to for the year ended. And so this was such a alignment of so many things all at once. And LA really was transformational and integral in this year for me as I was walking through these really hard depths from a physical perspective, but we were also really diving into the mental, emotional, psychological, all of these different aspects and areas. And that was a time that was so sacred in its own way. Learning about and from LA, you will see that she is wise beyond her years. She offers so much insight into true feminine nature, and we are diving into what that is in this episode. This is a very high level episode. We could have gone so much deeper here, but I wanted to keep this more of like a basic 101, if you will. And if you are interested in learning more about this concept and just feminine energy and the divine feminine in general, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your thoughts following this episode, because we absolutely could do a part 2 and dive in deeper. LA brings such a calm and steady presence to this conversation, and I think that you'll feel that as you listen. Her voice is so calming yet commanding, and you can just hear the passion that she has for these things and sharing them with women as she speaks. There is a lot here around redefining strength, allowing things to unfold, and creating from a place of alignment rather than pressure, leaning into your intuition as a woman, because that is what we are guided by. And as our world is rebirthing right now, we are all invited to go through our own rebirth and awakening process. The world is calling for a different kind of leadership right now, for women who are in their full power, heart-led entrepreneurs, feminine leaders like you and like me. LA's mission here is to guide those who are ready to step into this process, mysterious as it may be. You know, for me, I had no idea what to expect out of that year, but obviously it was one that was trying and physically difficult, but I came out of that so empowered to move forward in my life, very aligned and knowing exactly what I wanted to bring to my work moving forward from there. LA's desire is to help you remember who you truly are and also live the life that you are meant to live. I would really invite you for this episode to listen to this one slowly. Take it in, maybe while you're on a walk or during a quiet moment that you can actually take in each word and each sentence and each concept. And so without further ado, let's welcome Ele De Posson and get right into it. Hi, Ele. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Hi, Marisa. Thank you so much for having me.
You're actually the first person I'm recording with in person.
Yes.
So we had a few technical difficulty glitches, but we figured it out.
Learning curve.
Learning curve. As I said, this whole journey has been for me, which is still a good thing.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy to have you here, and here in my home in Connecticut. It's kind of like full circle, I feel like, with our own personal relationship and journey, which is really, really interesting.
Absolutely.
Yes. Before we dive in and talk today, I would love if you could share a little bit about yourself, prime the audience for the topic we're going to be talking about today. And maybe we can share a little bit too about our own personal connection and journey before we dive in. So.
Yeah. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody.
Yes.
It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm Ele De Posson. I'm Belgian originally, which, hence the French accent. But I live in Canada. And I'm a spiritual teacher, an ordained priestess, international best-selling author, and master healer. And it's really my passion and an absolute joy for me to help women reconnect with their soul, their purpose, their feminine energy, and help them on the journey of birthing who they really are so that they can live a life of purpose, of abundance, and soul alignment.
That's beautiful depiction of exactly what our work together was. I love that you just hit all of those things, because that's exactly what it was all about when we were working together, and even now, and even this podcast is a birthing of all of the work that we did together.
Yes.
Which is, again, coming full circle.
Yes.
And so special. So I love that. Okay, so today we're going to dive in and talk about the feminine, which has been a topic that's been woven into so many of my episodes already. But I feel like, at least I personally didn't have an understanding of what that was. And that I even wasn't operating in my feminine as a woman until a couple of years ago, when I had kind of a tsunami wave hit me of so many things. And so I really want to dive into this topic and share with the audience and talk about feminine energy versus masculine, and what embodying that looks like, and even how to identify it, or to identify when we're not operating in it.
Yeah.
And you were the expert on this.
Yes.
So we have you here today to chat all about it, and we're going to dive right in.
Yes. Where do you want to begin?
Let's start with, what is feminine energy? Let's define it almost on the most basic level, if someone's never heard of this before and they're wondering, or maybe they have a little bit of an inkling, but what is it?
Yeah. So we all have what we call feminine and masculine energy. Men and women have both these energies within them. And sometimes it's good to take these words away because we associate so many things with them.
Yeah.
But it's the yin and the yang. So it's different energies with different characteristics. So the yin, the feminine, is cold energy. It's connected to the night. It's connected to the moon. It's connected to the energy of darkness. And in our personalities, it's the part of us that is in the being, in the receiving, reflecting, in its cyclical nature.
Yes.
Surrendering, flowing, grounding, and being connected to the intuition and the body, the heart. So you're seeing my hands do a lot like this for those that are watching the video. It's a very inward energy, reflective energy, the same way that the moon reflects the sunlight. The masculine energy, which is yang energy, it's an outward energy. So there are polarities, there are opposites. And it's warm energy. It's connected to the day. It's connected to the light. It's connected to the sun. And so in our personalities, it's the part of us that does, that is in the doing, in the giving. It's the structure, the strategy, the support, the provider. It's a very outward energy. And so within us, we have both feminine and masculine. None is better than the other.
Right.
We need both.
Right.
Especially if you are a woman entrepreneur. You're going to need that masculine doing, structuring, strategy.
Absolutely.
But it's a problem today because our world is extremely masculine. We praise mind over matter.
Yes.
Thought over feeling, fact over intuition. And that is praising the masculine, because the masculine is in the mind, the feminine is in the body.
Yes.
And for us women, we are feminine essenced beings. Yes, we have masculine and feminine within us, but we have more feminine energy because it is our essence. It's who we are in general. Now let's say. And so when you are a feminine essence being, you have more of that feminine energy. It's important to know that our cerebellums, so the back of our brain, which is connected to our intuition, our emotions, our feeling sense, is 11% bigger than in men. So we are designed to be intuitive.
Yes.
We are designed to be emotional. We are designed to be connected to the unseen worlds, to be that bridge. So when we live in a world that is very masculine, go, 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 hustling, connected to that warm energy that I was mentioning before, we slowly burn out.
Right.
The warm energy of the masculine burns us out. Literally. We know it in our language. And it makes us override our feminine nature, our cyclical nature. We start to see rest as unproductive.
Right.
It's
Been
like
there, I can attest to
yes,
that.
but it's like saying winter is useless.
Yeah. Right.
Well, no, winter is super important.
Yes.
Because the leaves have fallen at the in the autumn season. And winter, it looks like nothing's happening, but everything's happening underneath the surface. And it's thanks to the winter that you have the buds of the roses that bloom in the spring.
Right. Right.
And so reconnecting with your feminine energy is about learning to rest and understand that it's as productive as doing. It's about reconnecting with your intuition. It's about learning to receive instead of always giving. It's about surrendering. It's about honoring your cyclical nature. It's about honoring your body and not always being in your head,
your mind,
because that makes you overthink. And really learning that sacred dance between the feminine and the masculine.
Yes.
Being able to create that sacred union between these two energies in yourself. And the final thing that I want to say is that nature teaches us that everything begins with the feminine. Think about it for a second. Every man is born from the womb of a mother.
Yes.
Every rose comes from the dark soil of the earth, the feminine. Every day, the masculine, begins at midnight when it's dark, when it's the feminine. Everything begins with the feminine.
Right. It's birth with the feminine.
Yes, because the feminine is the birther.
Yes.
And
so if we're out of our feminine energy, we also are unable to birth.
Yeah.
When it comes to, speaking, I guess, from a business standpoint, for example, you can't birth something new if you're always operating in the masculine.
Yes.
Right.
You could force things,
yes,
but it's going to feel misaligned. It's not going to be as successful. It's going to deplete you, burn you out, harden you. And
you feel unfulfilled, misaligned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the way it works is that you need to begin by connecting with your feminine.
Feminine, yes.
Because she's the visionary.
Right.
The desires that you have in your body. When you have an idea and you have those full body chills, that's your feminine.
Yes.
That's your soul, that's your intuition telling you this is the direction.
Yeah.
And so you begin with the feminine. You begin by going within. What do I want? What is right for me? What is my intuition telling me? Where is my soul guiding me? What are the signs that I'm receiving? And then the masculine comes in to create the strategy, to bring the support. And then the feminine, with the flow that she is in, births it.
Yes.
So it's a sacred dance.
Right. And they coexist together. They
Absolutely.
can't, it's not all one or the other. It's a beautiful balance between the two that's fluid and has to be.
Yeah.
So we kind of talked about the core qualities of feminine energy: being, receiving, inflow, intuition. How do these show up in our daily life, or how can we honor them in our daily life? We think of the modern world, because it is so masculine energy oriented, or even praises that, even amongst women, it's like girl boss, hustle mode, like all these things, which I personally have removed from my own vocabulary because they're just unhealthy terms in their masculine way for me personally.
Yeah.
But how do we honor that feminine energy, even in small ways? I can think of ways in my own life, but I'd love for you to share some, and then maybe I can even give a few examples too of ways that I've even just altered my own daily routines.
Yeah. So in my book, The Path of Femininity, I really take the reader on a journey to move away from the wounded feminine into the divine feminine. And there are a few things that you can do here and there to make space for your feminine energy. That's a great beginning. But
I love that you just said the word space, because the feminine does need space to exist. And when you're so much in the masculine of doing, there's no space for it to literally just come out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's snuffed.
Yeah. Because your feminine essence is the portal to your soul.
Yes, right.
You can only hear your soul when you're in the now, in the present. And so creating space for your feminine to exist. And that means taking time to savor your tea in the morning without looking at your phone. Having a yin yoga practice. So yin yoga is basically saying feminine yoga. It's to cultivate your feminine energy. Another way to look at it is that we talk a lot about the nervous system today.
Right. It's everywhere right now.
Yes.
Buzzwords like
Yes.
nervous system reset, everywhere we see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the sympathetic nervous system is the masculine. The
Okay.
parasympathetic nervous system is the feminine. And again, you have both. None is better than the other, but we live in a world that is too sympathetic. It's another way of teaching the same things, just with different words.
Right, right.
And so creating space to nourish your parasympathetic nervous system by doing yin yoga, by doing a meditation, by having breathing techniques will help you bring more of that feminine energy. So that's the first thing that I would recommend.
Yeah.
But then it goes much further than that, because reclaiming your feminine essence is really a journey of healing and reawakening what I call the 6 feminine gifts, which is to lead with your intuition, to be authentically yourself, to surrender, and so on. And there needs to be a letting go, a healing, because the reasons often why we are go, it's because underneath the surface we want to prove ourselves.
Right.
Or we're not sure that we are worthy.
Right.
Or we want to be successful. We just think that we have to hustle to get there because that's what we've been sold. So there's a healing and a reprogramming that needs to happen. And that's really the journey from the wounded to the divine feminine.
Yeah. You know, it's bringing me back to a conversation I had with one of my girlfriends one time, and she was like, oh, we were on the phone. She's a long distance friend of mine, one of my dearest friends. Her name's Chelsea. And we were talking, and she was like, what did you do today or this morning at that point? And I was like, oh, I went to the chiropractor. I dropped something off here. And listed off all these things. And she was like, you did all of that today already? And she's like, I've had breakfast, you know? And it was kind of like, and that's not necessarily or inherently quote bad or wrong. Like there are days where like, yes, you need to accomplish a lot of things. But I think when I really started to uncover my own wounded feminine side and then start to embody that more, which we're going to kind of dive into the embodiment of that in a little bit. But when I started to do that, I realized that if I wasn't quote or unquote accomplishing all of these tasks or things or whatever, I was still having a productive day. Even if that looked like coming down and, like you said, making a cup of tea or making a matcha, having my supplements for the morning, making breakfast, unloading the dishwasher, like those are still quote accomplishments, if we want to even label them that way, you know, without having to check things off the list. And that's an interest. I think we're so used to filling our time and day or even our free time or whatever with all these things and tasks and doing, and I should be doing this, I should get up, I should instead of like simply being.
Yep.
And you touched on it briefly, like presence, bringing presence to something, even like presence to when the moments that you are standing at the sink washing the dishes.
Yep.
Or, you know, presence when you are applying your makeup, or, you know, little things like that I think are very relatable in people's everyday life right now.
Yep. Yep. So if you really want to reclaim your feminine energy, it's going to be a journey of understanding first, when have I been too much in my masculine?
Yes.
And
that was literally what next thing I was going to ask you is how do we personally recognize when we are in our feminine or in our masculine, and if there's an imbalance? Like how can we even identify that within ourselves?
Yeah. The first thing would be to have an honest look and be like, okay, well, if the masculine is all about doing, giving, structuring, controlling, supporting, providing. Okay, that's the list of when I'm in my masculine. And the feminine is all about receiving, being, surrendering, following your intuition, being cyclical, being in stillness. How much of my days do I spend in one or the other? Is it 90%, 10%, 80-20? Just having that awareness, if you look at your past week, that's a great place to begin. And you can pause this video podcast now and ask yourself,
right,
okay, where have I been this week or this month?
So for a woman who's an entrepreneur, like ourselves, for example, we will probably spend more of our day in our masculine, depending on the task that it is for our work, than maybe someone who works at a dentist's office. Or, you know, I'm just throwing out a random example. So does that mean there's an imbalance? You know, because I'm sure there's women, tons of friends, women that I know that are listening that are entrepreneurs, and they might be analyzing that and be like, oh, I have an imbalance. But that isn't really an imbalance if they're, you know, just because of the amount of hours per se.
It's not really quantitative, it's qualitative.
Yes.
Because if you're just hustling because you want to prove yourself, and it's coming from a wounded place, and you're stressed and you're afraid you're not going to get there, well, then you're very much in your masculine and wounded masculine, and you're going to burn out.
Yes.
But if you understand that sacred dance, and you've began your day by connecting with your soul, your intuition, well, first of all, when you're connected to your intuition and you lead your business with your intuition, you do less and you receive more.
Receive more, yes.
You stop throwing spaghettis out of the wall.
Yes.
Which I'm speaking from experience, okay?
Yes.
I know all of this because I had to learn it.
Yes. And I can say I have too. And it's not always the easiest thing to learn.
Because it's a new paradigm. It's a new way of operating.
Right.
And so if you begin by connecting with your intuition, and then you follow your intuition, and you take a break at lunchtime, and then you do something in the afternoon that nourishes you when you are in flow. Because the feminine, she still creates, but she creates from a state of flow. She creates from a state of alignment. She also understands that she is cyclical. And so there are seasons when you are more busy and you are magnetic and you are in bloom, and that's more your summer season.
Yeah.
But then you also recognize, okay, well, now I'm going to have a winter season in my life, in my business, and that's totally fine. You don't try to rush yourself out of it. And so you might be spending more time working, quote unquote, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're always in your masculine, because it can come from a place of wholeness, from a place of intuition, from a place of flow.
Right.
And if you begin by nourishing your feminine and you finish your day by nourishing your feminine, coming back to that parasympathetic response, it's another way of saying it, then you will totally live in balance. And then also recognizing that there are seasons that are more about doing, just like the summer.
Right.
The summer, these are the longest day of the year.
Yes.
Remember the day, the sun, the warmth, that's masculine energy. And that's totally fine. It just needs to be balanced out.
Yeah. When we talk about the seasons too, this is kind of like a side note, but I guess maybe more, I want to clarify this for people who maybe are not using that language necessarily in their life, but our life seasons may not always line up with the actual seasons. Yeah. So, for example, when I went through that year with all of my back stuff, that entire year was a winter season for me. It was a 10, 11-month winter season, even though I had gone through every season from a, earth standpoint season in that time. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, when we talk about the balance of the two, the feminine and the masculine, and recognizing which one we are in or operating in, does being in the feminine come more naturally to some people than others? And if so, is it rooted, if we're not in that more naturally, is it rooted somewhere like in a wound, in a trauma? I mean, I know the answer, but I want to talk through this because I think this is something that when we're looking at and analyzing, or not even, I don't want to say analyze because it almost feels too technical, but kind of maybe evaluating or taking inventory of our day or how we operate, where does that land?
Yeah. Well, we live in a world that is masculine, and so we have been conditioned to be in our masculine, in our culture, in our society.
Yeah.
When I was a child, I was so in my feminine. And this is why in my book I speak about the 6 gifts, because it's our nature.
Yeah.
We know how to be intuitive. We know how to be in flow. We know how to surrender. We know how to be authentic.
Right.
When you're born, when you're a child, you speak your truth. You follow your desires. But because these have been pushed down, because we have been conditioned, educated by parents and teachers in society that definitely had the best intentions at heart and were also carrying their own wounds, we learn to operate from the masculine way. And so this is why I was saying before, being able to really lead with your feminine is going to be a journey of reclaiming your feminine energy, healing and reconditioning yourself to remember how you were functioning at the beginning.
Right.
Because it's actually natural for you.
Right.
You've just forgotten.
Right. When you return to those things, they feel so natural.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then because you have the awareness and you have returned to that new way of being, when you fall more into the masculine, you can tell. Your body is telling you, because when you are more in your feminine energy, you're more connected to the body.
Yes.
Remember, the feminine is the body, the masculine is the mind.
Yes.
And again, we don't want to be just in our bodies. We need the masculine energy. I was out giving a retreat a few years ago, and we were evaluating feminine, masculine, where are we at? And one of the girls, she was too much in her feminine. And she wasn't getting anything done.
Right.
And her sisters were there at the retreat. It was 4 sisters that came all together at the retreat.
Cool.
So that was super
Cool.
fun.
Yeah. It was not me and my sisters,
No.
just for everyone listening.
another gang. And they were all saying, yes, you need to wake up. You need to do more.
Yeah.
And she was she was in too much of a slumber. So the more you do this work, the more you're able to be aware of where you're at. Also because when you are fully in your feminine, which I call awakening the sacred feminine within you.
Yes.
The sacred feminine, she's very self-aware.
Right.
Because she's reflective, she's confident, she's connected to herself, to her heart, to her womb. She's very aware of what's happening in her body. So your body will tell you. You have to learn to listen.
Yes. As I learned the hard way.
Yes.
I think, too, you kind of just touched on, you become more aware. When you are going through your own healing journey in life in general, I think that whether you realize it or not, that is a return to your feminine, at least for me.
Yes.
I, went through this process in my late 20s where every construct and idea and everything I had was just like completely torn down, and I really had to get to the root and foundation of who I was and figure out what that was and who she was. But in that process, there was a returning to and reclaiming of the feminine in me, and I didn't even realize it. And I didn't even realize that there was a shift happening until I became aware of the feminine versus the masculine, and I was able to, again, be self-aware and recognize, wow, I was operating so much in the masculine. And when I kind of stopped doing and performing and all of these things and came back a little bit and even nourished my body from a physical, mental, spiritual standpoint daily, there was such a shift, and I didn't even know what it was. It was just natural. It felt good. So I was like, well, I'm going to keep doing this, you know? Yeah. And then I had the knowledge as I learned more, what the feminine was. Yeah. So I think that's a natural process of our own healing and, self-discovery. And for some people, it looks like therapy. It can look so different for everyone.
Yeah. Well, feminine energy is a term that encompasses a lot of things. But because you are a feminine essence being, it's about coming home to who you really are.
Right.
And because the feminine is the seat of your intuition and your soul, it's a portal to your soul. There are people who are on this journey of reclaiming their feminine energy. They're not even aware that it's feminine energy, just like you said, that it has this word, this description. They're just seeking for who they really are. They just want to be more fulfilled. They're just tired of hustling and pushing and being burnt out. It's just a vocabulary that helps people understand the journey. And this journey, it has 2 avenues.
Yeah.
Because it's about moving away from the masculine into the feminine, but it's also about moving away from the wounded feminine.
Yes, right. So good.
Into the sacred feminine. Because our world is also very much in the wounded feminine energy.
Yes.
And so often women come to me when they're tired of hustling, because I work with spiritual women entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And then we go deeper because there's this wounded feminine energy. But, it's just harder to look at first. So they recognize the hustling, but the other part comes after.
So for someone who feels very disconnected from their feminine, what are ways that they can reconnect, and starting small, like I'm trying to think back even to myself in that journey, and I guess I wasn't even really aware of it at first, so it might be a little like going through the dust in my head to figure it out. But what are ways that women right now can reconnect? Because I think we're operating, you kind of touched on this, women are operating from such a burnt out, crashed out, strung out, kind of place right now, because there's 9 million things on our plates and we have to juggle all of them, and we're running businesses, we're running homes. If you're a mother, you're taking care of kids, maybe you have multiple businesses. Like, there's so many things that we are just so burnt out from right now. And I've hit that burnt out rock bottom place, and thankfully can I can know now, I guess is the word, how to not have that happen. But for someone who doesn't, like, how do they reclaim that?
Yeah.
And reconnect?
Yeah.
Just basic things.
Yeah. So there are these two avenues. Mm-hmm. Being able to know when you're in your masculine and in your feminine, and move away from the masculine into the feminine. What can you do there for this first avenue? It's creating space for your feminine. It's creating space to come back to your parasympathetic nervous system. It's also having a look at the beliefs that are pushing this behavior, because our actions are just the top of the iceberg. Or underneath our actions, there's always beliefs, emotions, and fears. And so while you can create space consciously for your masculine, if you want lasting change, you need to go within and have a look at what is driving these actions. And so asking yourself, what am I afraid is going to happen if I slow down? What am I afraid is going to happen if I stop hustling? And then what am I afraid is going to happen after that? What is this worst case scenario that I'm running from and unconsciously attracting as a result? What have I learned around me? Who do I think I am if I stop giving? Who am I if I'm not giving anything?
Right.
Who am I if I'm only receiving? Because a lot of our identity is tied around helping others, giving. As women now, all of us, we are awakening our empathic senses or intuitive senses, so we can feel what other people need, and then we give it to them.
Right.
And then it becomes part of our identity. At least that was definitely my journey.
Yeah.
I was very much looking for love by giving.
Right.
And I had to undo that to be able to reclaim my feminine.
Right.
And so that's really this journey from this first avenue. And then the second avenue, it's having a look at, okay, the same way that you had a look at how much am I in my masculine and in my feminine, you can have a look at how much am I in my wounded feminine and in my sacred feminine.
I have another question that I want to hit the pause button on, because you said a word and it really sparked a thought line on my head right now. Receiving.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what receiving actually is, because I think as women, we almost push away receiving.
Yeah.
And in something as simple as, I love your necklace.
Thank you.
Receiving the compliment. Yes. But receiving the compliment. Oh, your hair looks great today. A lot of times our initial reaction is,
yeah. Oh, I got it there.
Yeah. Oh, I pulled this out of the closet. Oh, I just, had a good hair day, whatever. Instead, and kind of brushing it off.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest ways where I see women not being able to receive.
Absolutely.
And so personally, I've made a conscious effort to, someone's at the store. Oh, I love your coat. Oh, I love your shoes, whatever. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And receiving that with love, that is a tiny little way that we can embody our feminine every day. And maybe this is a challenge for all of the listeners to, before you initially want to just have this reaction of not receiving it, pushing it away, receive that compliment this week and realize how many times that we don't do that.
Yeah.
I think on one of our retreats, did we do an exercise where we sat across, because I've been on several retreats of LA's for everyone listening, in multiple locations around the world, which has been such a fun experience. But one of the things that we did was we sat across the couch from another woman at the retreat, and we literally just said amazing, beautiful, complimentary, things. Yep. And you had to sit there and receive that.
Yep.
And at some point, if that is an area where there's wounding, there is almost this reaction of like, oh, I don't know, is that me? Like, am I worthy of that? There's these questions that arise.
Yep. Yep.
And that exercise is such a beautiful thing, to do. I even think you can do this with yourself.
Yes.
Stand in the mirror
Yeah.
I've encouraged people to do this before. Stand in the mirror when your day starts, look at yourself, and say like 3 nice things.
Yeah. Okay, so much to say on this topic.
Yes.
I mean,
I would love your...
Yeah, I do
insight.
Workshops just on that topic. So
we could probably do a whole podcast on that topic.
Yes, a part 2.
Yes.
But just a few words. So again, you were so good at receiving when you were a child. Actually, that's the only thing you were doing as a baby.
Exactly.
Crying, asking for things. Mommy, mommy, I'm hungry. Give me more of this. You are receiving, receiving, receiving. Somewhere along the way, you forgot how to.
Right.
You learned to give, and you attach your identity to giving and being of service. Now in our society, there's also a lot of conditioning around women being there as nurturers and carers. And so that adds another layer to it. And also, receiving and giving are both connected to each other in the sense that they are opposites, but they are also the same. This is a deeper teaching. We live life on earth ruled by spiritual laws and principles. Right. And the law of exchange is one of these principles. As I'm speaking and giving words to your audience and to you, you are receiving them. Whenever I'm giving, someone is receiving on the other side. But as you receive and you say, as you receive and you say thank you, then I'm receiving your thank you. And it also brings me joy. So giving and receiving are both sides of the same coin when you allow them to be, when it's cleared of that conditioning or shame or discomfort or worthiness around
they should be reciprocal, essentially.
Yes, they are.
Right.
They are.
Right.
And life is always moving through you. Because when you are giving, is it really you, or is it, the higher power moving through you and giving to the other person through you? I mean, this is a whole other conversation. But so if you're not allowing yourself to receive, you are slowly blocking the flow of life. Imagine you go to a shop and you get a Christmas gift for your friend or your sister. And you're really excited because you find this beautiful gift and you want to give it to her. And then because of her own sense of worthiness or her struggles to receive, she's kind of like, yeah, okay. She doesn't even say thank you, or she says, oh, the packaging is nice, but she doesn't really speak about the gift. That doesn't feel really good.
No, right.
It's not really nice to be on the other side of that, though it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the other person. So when you are receiving and you say thank you, you're actually giving to the other person too, and you're allowing the flow of life to move through you.
Yes.
And this love exchange states that if you're not allowing yourself to receive, you're not allowing the flow of life to move through you. And if we all did that, it would lead to destruction. Because there wouldn't be energy to move through you and through each other again. So it's as important for you to receive than to give.
Yes.
And so the journey becomes, again, of going within and looking at, why is it so hard for me to receive? Where did I learn that? And I love that you talk about the compliments, because the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. So if you're not good at receiving compliments, then you're not good at receiving love, then you're not good at receiving money, then you're not good at receiving support. So if you want to make more money in your life, or if you want to find the love of your life, or if you want to have more love in your life, begin by receiving compliments. And so I always invite my clients to do this small challenge, a 7-day challenge. You ask a friend to every single day send you a message and to give you a compliment. And the only thing that you respond is, thank you, I fully receive this. Nothing else. And then you can swap, and the week after you can send compliments to that person. And the exercise is going to be about observing how you're responding when you're receiving that compliment. Does it make you want to shrink? What is the voice in your head saying? Do you feel shame? Do you feel discomfort? Do you feel seen and that makes you uncomfortable? Do you want to hide? It's going to be so interesting because it's going to reveal your inner world to you.
Right.
We were able to do it in person.
Yes.
At that retreat, and then we had spent a whole week together,
Yes.
so we got to know each other pretty well. But you don't always have that opportunity.
Yeah.
So if you can just do it by text with a person or your loved one at home.
I think when you open the door of receiving too, you allow yourself to be fully seen.
Yeah. It's vulnerable.
And yes, so it feels very vulnerable. And most of us want to be fully seen, but when it comes to being seen, we aren't willing to be seen.
Yes.
You know? That was a lot of scenes, but...
Yes, we got it.
When we talk about being fully seen now, I think this is a great segue into how our feminine energy integrates into our relationships. And I have this question that how does us being in our feminine shift the way that we approach or show up or have our capacity in relationship, whether, you know, friendship relationship or romantic relationship? And maybe those are two different things. And I know this is a very loaded question that we can dive into, but how does it change the way that we, you know, show up and approach our relationships?
Well, it changes everything.
Yeah.
It changes the foundation of the relationship. Because again, I think many of us women, and me included, we've learned to overfunction. We've learned to be overly responsible. Again, because of the conditioning, because of the wounding, because of trying to prove ourselves, because not always seeing our worth, because of that wounded feminine. And when you reclaim your feminine, well, you stop people pleasing. You stop having soft boundaries. You stop being afraid of being seen. You stop being afraid of speaking your truth. You're much more unapologetic. You reclaim who you really are. You trust yourself. You stop settling for yes. You stop accepting behaviors that are unacceptable.
Right.
You stand up for yourself. You are in your power.
Yeah.
So imagine a relationship, and I can definitely think about my previous relationships. So I'm currently married to my soulmate, but before meeting him, I was married. And I was in a 6 months marriage, very fast.
Yeah.
We divorced really quickly. But I was very much in my wounded feminine and my masculine at the time. I didn't know my worth. I was a people pleaser. I was an overgiver. I was disconnected from my intuition. I heard her, but I didn't follow her because I didn't trust myself.
Yeah.
And I ended up creating a life that was not me because I didn't really know who I was.
Right.
So it was impacting all my relationships, my romantic relationship, my marriage, because I was putting up with way too much than I should have.
Yes.
My friendships, my relationships with my siblings and my parents, my relationships at work. And even though on paper I had everything, the ring, the banking job, the nice car, the 3-bedroom penthouse, I felt terrible inside.
So what I'm hearing, and what I personally also know from my own experience, is when we are in that place of maybe masculine imbalance with feminine, and we're operating so much in the masculine, or we're coming from a place of the wounded feminine, it truly affects us in the way that we're even able to choose like a partner.
Yes.
And I mean, I experienced this. All the audience knows, or the listeners know, I was in a 6-year relationship. I ended that engagement because I chose to listen to my intuition. Truthfully, that was the catalyst there. I didn't know anything about any of this in making that decision. But there was a small shift where I went inward and I was like, hold on, is this really what I want? You know, when I went out of all of that cerebral thinking of, oh, this makes sense, and like being in my mind with the decision versus following, my intuition. And so we see where even when we're in that wounded place, we can make I don't want to say the wrong choice, but we can make a very different choice
Yeah.
that has a very largely impactful outcome and changes the trajectory of our life.
Yeah.
If we're not careful.
So I want to piggyback on what you said and these words you've used, because I think it's more subtle and unconscious than that. So you said we choose a partner, or we make the decision to be with someone. I think we attract a
Yes.
partner, and
Beautiful
we
way
don't
of saying
even
it, yes.
realize that we are in the quote unquote wrong relationship. We are in the perfect relationship for what we need
For
to
what
learn.
we need, yes. Yes.
And because we have these beliefs about who we are, what we are worthy of receiving, the kind of person that we can be with, how we can be loved,
Yes.
and our wounding, we are going to attract the perfect partner to mirror these things back to us.
Yes.
Because, again, another spiritual principle, the law of correspondence, it's also a hermetic principle, as within, so without,
yeah.
as above, so below. Life is always trying to show you who you are so that you can let go of what's holding you back and be more of who you really are. And so you're going to attract the partner that is going to reveal to you that you are a people pleaser. But how do you realize that you're a people pleaser? By having your boundaries crossed all the time, by saying yes when you actually mean no, to the point where you're so drained that you're like, I'm so tired of disrespecting my truth, of not putting my boundaries.
As women too, we want a partner, I think most of us do, I would say, who is so fully in his masculine and who, you know, is the provider and the giver and the taking care and like doing all those masculine things. But oftentimes, and I'm saying this again from experience, because even as a, you know, especially as an entrepreneurial woman and someone who's the eldest daughter and like all these qualifications, if you will, that put me in the box of someone who always operated in her masculine, but now, you know, is very moving much in her feminine, I still default back to those things. We're human, we do. But when you're in a relationship with someone who's so fully present and in their masculine, you have to be willing to surrender into your feminine in order for that relationship to blossom and fulfill both of you.
Yeah.
And when, on the flip side of that, you're in your masculine energy or even in the wounded feminine, you can attract a partner who is also wounded in their masculine or feminine energy. And I have seen that in my own life, and I even see that, you know, in people around me, and I see how they've made decisions or gone through different things in life, and the type of partner they're attracting is also wounded in their own way. And then there's not a beautiful coexisting of the two in a healthy way.
Yeah. So in relationships, we really often attract partners because of our own wounding.
Yes, right.
We don't realize it, but it's designed on purpose.
Yes.
We are magnetized by someone that's going to awaken our wound, and we don't realize it at first. Like when I think about my relationship with my current husband, we fell in love so fast, and it was so obvious that we would like get married and have a family together and all of that. And now we've been together for 7 years, and now I'm really seeing, oh wow, like that was really smart to put us together, because we are activating each other's wounds in a way that is it's so profound you couldn't even make it up.
Right.
But we have gone to such a level of safety and connection and deep love that now there's space for these wounds to come up and to be healed and to be recognized and seen.
And it's a safe space for that to happen.
Yes.
Yes.
And so in my previous marriage, it was chaos because I was chaos inside. And, you know, I'm very grateful that we divorced so fast, and it helped me to start over my whole life, and it was such a gift. But so oftentimes you're going to attract each other because of these woundings. And I think the beauty and the gift of relationships is that they act as mirrors.
Yeah, right.
And if you have created a bond that is strong enough, you will both be able to then heal these wounds and to create a new sort of relationship where you are both in your divine feminine and divine masculine instead of operating from the wounded feminine.
Right.
Now, that is not going to happen overnight.
Right.
It's a journey that is going to require both partners.
Yes.
it really often begins with the woman because, like I said earlier, we are more tapped in, we are more intuitive, we are more connected to our emotions. We are designed to be like that.
Yeah.
And as we start our journey and we elevate, we awaken, we step more into our power. Our partners are energetically connected to us. They witness and they see us.
Yes.
Our standards rise as well.
Yes.
We demand more of them. And then it's up to them to follow or not. And if they follow, it will be for their highest good. And you'll create a new balance, a new relationship that will be completely different than what it was before. And I honestly think that's what relationships are for.
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
you do not create such a safe and profound container with anyone else. And I think that's why relationships can be so hard because they act as such catalyst to birth who you really are.
Yes.
And think about birth. Birth is a beautiful process. I was really lucky with the birth of my 2 children. I had home births and it was really fast. And I wouldn't say it was easy because it's very potent, the energy that moves through you. But there's pressure, there's discomfort, there's unexpected things.
Right.
And that's what relationships are when you are in that portal of birthing who you really are through the relationship because you're being shown who you really are in it.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you, and that's something that I experienced deeply. I left, like I said, that engagement based on intuition. I can literally go back and feel that feeling in my body, like right now. I can go back and feel that. And that was a catalyst that changed the next 5-ish years of my life until I met my current partner.
Yeah.
And in that 5 years, and I guess I kind of want to settle on this for a second to really encourage the women out there who are listening that are still single and not married or in a strong committed relationship, that you have a beautiful opportunity right now to really pour into who you are and becoming really strong as a woman in understanding what your feminine is, because you want to attract a man who is very strong and healthy in his masculine. And I did that. It was not easy for those 5 years in between. And I dated people here and there, but it wasn't something where I was like diving deep into a relationship. I really spent a lot of time on my own and alone to get into these layers, like really, really deep.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be ready and whole for that person when I met them, you know? And my boyfriend now, if he's listening to this, he's probably laughing because he's like, yeah, sometimes he has to put me in my place and remind me to get out of that like masculine operating. And it's also hard when my role sometimes in my business every day is to be in the masculine. It's like when I have to shut my work off and then I have to shift into the feminine when he's coming home or whatever. But he's so strongly in his masculine that it also encourages me and allows me to be in my feminine. And you realize you have to relinquish that control, which I think is such a grip that we hold tightly. Yeah. The control to allow the ease of the feminine to come through. Yeah.
And absolutely, if you're on your own and you want to find a partner, this is a gift.
Yes,
the space that you are given. And you might feel lonely and craving that relationship. If you're craving it, it's because it's coming.
Right.
So be ready for it. You can feel your partner come.
Yes.
And the more you can have created that wholeness within and heal the wounded feminine and the 3 feminine wounds and really operate from your sacred feminine, the more you'll attract a partner that will be at the same level of consciousness and sacred embodiment of his masculine.
Yeah.
And it is a sacred dance. And I love that you pointed that out, because it can be difficult for us women entrepreneurs when we need to be in that masculine and feminine within our business. And then, we work from home, we just open a door, close the door, and suddenly we need to be fully in our feminine and let our masculine lead.
Right.
So I like to have little moments of transitions.
I love that. Okay, so talk about what you do in that transition, because I think that's really key.
I finish my day with a meditation, or I go for a walk, or I take 20 to 30 minutes between the end of my work and having to pick up the kids at school, or seeing my husband, to like calm my nervous system, to go into my parasympathetic response, so that I can be in this state of ease, of being led by the masculine, of letting him make decisions with his logical and analytical mind, which they often have and are, and not be in the go, go, go.
Yes.
Because if you're in the go, 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 then how can you expect your man to be? If you're in the giver role in the masculine, he's going to be in the receiver role in the feminine. And so a lot of women complain that their man is not stepping up. Well, that's probably because you've already taken that place.
Right. And even maybe unconsciously conditioned to him to have that place, so he just defaults to it. Yeah, and then there's an imbalance that's created. There's frustration, and that leads you down a whole path. Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you are someone who's listening and who is in a time of singleness now, I think that in our culture there's just this find your partner, find your partner. Singleness is such a beautiful gift. And there is so much that you can learn and grow in and deepen in that time. And, you know, I'm 35 now. I met my current partner when I was 33. And so I had almost 6 years, I would say 5.5-ish years, where it was me. Yeah. And that is such an invaluable time that I look back on, and I'm so grateful for the work that I was able to do on myself, because now I'm in a beautiful, healthy, thriving, you know, relationship that I know would not exist if I hadn't done the work during that time. Because we all have a choice of what we want to do with that, you know, time. Yeah. And I think sometimes we as women can fall into I'm lonely, or just all of those things, but it's such a gift, and that you can use it so wisely. So 2 things that I want to say here. Yeah. You said that pressure of finding your partner. That's societal pressure, I would say. And that's, again, outward. A masculine way of doing things. Yes, because the masculine goes after what he wants. Right. The feminine receives. One other gift of the feminine that we haven't talked about yet is that she's magnetic. Yes. So you don't find your partner. Right. Your partner finds you. Yes. And the way that I met my husband, it was the day after I signed the papers of my divorce. So I was not interested in meeting anyone. That energy is super magnetic to begin with. I was dancing. We were at a birthday party in the woods. It was really fun. I was having fun with a friend dancing, and I feel this tap on my shoulder. So he came to me and we started speaking, and I'm just sharing that because it's the perfect example of, it's the masculine that's coming, and he's coming tap you on the shoulder. He didn't even see my face. He saw me from behind. Right. I was having fun, and he just felt, I always say, you recognize me. Yes. Our souls just recognize each other. Yes. He didn't even need to see my face. From the energy of this woman in a red dress having fun, I'm going to go and speak to her. That's how magnetic you are. Yes. You don't even need to smile. Yes. Show your beautiful eyes. Yep. Your person is going to see and recognize you, because when you are your authentic being, when you are in your feminine, you are magnetic. So let go of this idea that you need to find your partner. Right. You're not going to find them. It's not true. That's going to keep you stuck. Right. Be your brightest light. Yes. Take care of what you need to take care of, what's holding you back from shining, from having fun, from being your authentic self. The more you can be too crazy, too weird, all the things that we're telling ourselves are too much about ourselves. Right. The more you can actually express them, the faster he's going to recognize you. Yes. Because he knows who you are. He knows your soul. So that's the first thing. I love that so much. The second thing is, you know how you said, oh, I'm lonely. Yeah. If you're telling yourself I'm lonely, that's a sign you're operating from your wounded feminine. So good. Because the wounded feminine, she's dependent. Yes. She has a tendency to play the victim. She doesn't trust herself. And so this whole story of I'm lonely, I'm not saying it's not true. And you need someone else to fulfill you, or, you know, bring life to your life. Yeah. Right. So, you know, it can be a hard place to be at. So I don't want to come across as like, you know, uncompassionate and cold. Right, like, I know it can be really hard. But use that as a sign that
you're not fully operating from your sacred feminine.
Right.
And that this thought is actually an invitation to start reclaiming who you really are and your feminine essence and feminine power. And then giving yourself, what do you need to not feel lonely?
Yes.
Oftentimes what you're really seeking is yourself.
Yeah, right.
It's your connection to yourself.
Connection, right. So beautiful. As we're sitting here talking, I'm just being transported back to so many different moments in my life where so much of this was unfolding, even if I wasn't aware of it then, but can see and pinpoint now. I think about when I was drawn to Naples to move there for a month, and then it turned into 2.5, and then I was just heartbroken to leave and came back and signed a lease and got an apartment. But I was so drawn to be there because I was alone, because it allowed me the safe space to really go inward and to heal all those parts of me. And it was just like I was being literally called there and pulled there like a magnet, and I didn't even know why, but I was just like following that and going with it and being so drawn. And when I was there is when the most transformation happened. And then ironically,
after that
3 years into it was exactly what you just said. You know, that was
you magnetized
my partner. And I also love that you touched on you will feel it. Like there was about 6 months or so before I met Derek that I was like, okay, he's coming soon. And it was just like I knew. I don't need, it's like you just knew. It was my intuition telling me, and I knew, and I was like, okay, this time, and I almost was like, oh, this time that I have alone is coming to end, because I was enjoying it so much, and I relished in those moments so much. I was truly like wringing out the washcloth, if you will, of every moment, because it was such a precious time for me. But when he came into my life, and he will tell people this, and I want to have an episode with him talking about how we met, because I think there's a lot of really cool things to dive into, but I don't want to divert off to that, but relate to what you said about Rich, you know, tapping you on your shoulder and seeing and feeling that. That's exactly what Derek describes and felt.
He saw you.
Yes, he saw me, and he was like, that's her. And I was just, you know, in my own little bubble and meeting people, having fun. And I was out with a girlfriend, and
that's how it's supposed to happen.
Was so like, I remember sitting there at the table across from him the night that we met with a group of people, and I was like, why won't this man
leave me alone?
His eyes like staring into my soul, like I could feel them, but he knew. Because he was so drawn to the magnetism that I was exhibiting at that point, because I had done the work. And not to toot my own horn or pat my own back, but at the same time, yes, because I'm so proud that I took that time to really do the hard work. It was hard, but it was so worth it to have the experience that I have now, you know, with a partner.
When you are on a journey of healing and awakening, you will be pulled away from your normal life. So that can look like feeling called to move. Another corner of the city, another neighborhood, or another town, or feeling called to travel. Or when I was on my healing journey from my divorce, I moved to the other side of the world, and I lived on my own in Montreal for a whole year. And so we can question, like, why am I on my own? Why is that happening? It's part of the process. You're going through that rebirth, through that healing, through that awakening, and life will organize itself in a way that it will take you away from your usual environment. It will put you somewhere else so that you can have the space to hear yourself, to feel yourself, and to reconnect with who you really are.
I want to call that out for a second, because you had a very similar experience to that I did. You were pulled away from an area, put somewhere else, and it shifted everything in your life. And that pulling is the feminine energy. It's that...
It's bringing you inward.
Yes, it's the returning. It's the surrendering to the process. It's the listening to the intuition.
And many do not listen.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying it.
Yes,
and I appreciate that you're underlying this, because I think it's so important to surrender to that, to allow yourself to be pulled away. it's going to be the most transformative year. It's been for you.
Yes.
It's been for me.
Yes.
And it's by design.
Right.
It's happening so that you can find your true voice and your true self.
Yes, it's the catalyst.
Yep.
So let's shift a little bit. I have a question that I want to talk about because we were talking about how much the feminine is going inward and returning. So when you are living in the feminine, how does that feel? And this is also a theme that has been, I would say, predominant in a lot of the episodes leading up to this point. So I think the listeners and everyone listening is going to really relate to where I talk about the feeling of something in your body. Because when you are in the feminine, the feeling in your body, in your nervous system, even in the depth of your spirit is different.
Yeah.
So can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Because I think that's a huge part of being in the feminine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being in the feminine is about being in flow. It's effortlessness. It's receptivity. It's magnetism. It's what in Sanskrit it's called kriya. It's effortless action. It's finding yourself at the right place, at the right time, meeting the right people. And it's really a state of ease.
I was literally, that word was all in my head right now. Ease.
It's
that
really a
feeling
state
of
of
just like ease feels so calm.
I'm going to give you an image.
Yeah.
So it's easy for everybody to envision. It's like the river flowing towards the ocean. The river is just flowing effortlessly, bouncing off the sides of the river banks, knows its destination, is not worrying, is just, the drops are just being led by the current. Now, for that river to flow to the ocean, it needs the riverbank. It needs the support. It needs the masculine. So for you to feel fully your feminine, you're going to have to put in place the strategy, the structure of the masculine to flow. Too much structure, too much planning, too much controlling kills the feminine. Just a little bit, it helps the feminine thrive. Another image, it's really seeing that dance between the feminine and the masculine as the fire. The fire is the feminine. You're in your fire, you're in your essence, you're in your expression. But if the fire is not contained by a fire pit, it burns. If the fire pit is too big, it suffocates the fire. So again, we need both. But when you have a structure that is strong enough but not invasive, it allows your feminine to flow. So concretely, what does that mean?
Right.
It's about maybe creating a bit of a structure in your day where you wake up and you have your spiritual practice or your practice to connect with yourself. You know, if you're not spiritual, it can be as simple as going for a walk with an iced tea. That's just a way, it's just a moment where you connect with yourself.
Right.
You go inward. That's the feminine. It's going inward. It's going within. It's connecting with your intuition, with the invisible realms. And then you can have 1 or 2 appointments in your day. That structures your day. And the rest, you let your intuition decide. What do I feel called to do? What does my body need right now? Where am I in my menstrual cycle? Like really letting your body and your heart guide your actions. And then, you know, whether you have kids, you pick up the kids. That also structures your day. You have to prepare dinner and these things structure your day enough. But if you have every hour in your calendar back-to-back meetings, there's no space for your feminine. There's no space for you to feel yourself. There's no space for you to connect with what you need. And so it's again that dance between the feminine and the masculine. And a week can be different than another. It's going to depend where you're at in your cycle. If you can organize your business around your cycle, that would be amazing. That's a whole other conversation. But if you do it right, then yes, you are in that state of ease, effortlessness, a flow, led by your needs, your desires, your vision, and your intuition.
I want to call something out because I think it's important to remember, and this is a reminder I even have to give myself regularly, is that these moments of connection don't have to be hours and hours long.
No.
It can literally be, like you said, go for a little walk, 10 minutes down the driveway and back 2 times. You know, like little things that provide those connection points.
Yeah.
And so something that I kind of established into my life was my morning opener. And instead of calling it a routine, I called it an opener because it was opening my day.
Yeah.
And when I started sharing about this, one of the main questions I was getting from people was, well, how much do you do that? Or how much do you journal? Or how long? And I was like, this is exactly the point.
Missed the point.
Exactly. This is not the point. This is exactly the point that's not the point.
Yeah.
Is it's not something that's so rigid and structured and has to be this, but it's, I'm opening my day. This is how I want to feel to set the tone and start my day. And some days that's 5 minutes of journaling and getting up and whatever. And some days it's 25. Like, it looks different a little every day. I just know there's certain things that I want to do to open my day.
Yeah. And again, it's quality over quantity.
Yes,
it's like you can go for a walk,
right?
But if you're in your head, stressed, worried, overthinking,
going through the to-do list in your head, like,
there's no point going for a walk.
Right.
Like,
right.
if you go for a walk, be present.
Right.
Breathe. Slow down. How slowly can you walk?
Yeah.
Can you stop powering through your day?
Yeah. Right. Right. So I think from a practical level, in all of the roles that we play, business owner, entrepreneur, mom, these roles that require a lot, I'll say that. And obviously if there's other roles outside of that I'm not saying, it's not like discounting them. There's so many more in those, but those roles are very demanding. They require a lot from us.
Yeah.
And they do require planning and structure and all of that.
Yeah.
When does it become too much? Is there a point where it's too much? How can we pull back and not plan so much? Especially, I think about, I'm obviously not a mom, but think about how much planning goes into a day when you have kids. Like, you have 2 young kids, they have schedules, they have a class or nap times or all these things. And it's like, well, where's the balance of that where you're not feeling so burnt out and loaded down and because you're planning every single minute and wanting to balance your energy, because that also will translate into how it comes off and rubs onto them when they're around you.
Absolutely.
That's a huge loaded question, but I'm thinking about how it changes our approach, I guess, for entrepreneurs and moms and business owners and things like that.
Again, I think it's about recognizing there are seasons in life. And so, yes, for me right now, it's a very busy season where I have 2 small kids and I have a business picking up and there's so many things that are wanting to move through me and to be birthed through me.
Right.
The very simple answer is your body will tell you. Trusting what your body needs when it's too much. Not being afraid of saying, okay, we need to swap things around next week because right now I'm reaching my capacity.
Right.
But again, you will only be able to do that if you have reclaimed your feminine energy, if you are connected to your body, if you're not afraid of saying no.
Right.
And, that's connected to the wounded feminine and the bitch wound in particular. These 3 wounds that you need to heal to be able to live from your divine, your sacred feminine.
Yeah.
And so I think always coming back to the body. The body is the feminine. Yeah. Your body will tell you. And practical things, like I organize my life pretty much around my cycle because that helps me. I know when I have more energy. I know when I'm physically more magnetic around the full moon, around the ovulation. Full moon of your inner season, it can be connected to the moon. It doesn't always is the case. And when I'm in my menstruation, I slow down.
Yeah. Right.
I take 1, 2, 3 days off, depending how I feel. And I really give myself permission to do it.
Yeah.
Because if I power through, then I'm going to be exhausted for the rest of the month. So that's a practical way to do it. Another one is like, yes, I have to-dos, responsibilities, picking up the kids, making breakfast, making lunch, waking up at 5:30 when they wake up.
Yeah.
But in my day, so I have these little windows where I make breakfast, I drop off the kids, and then I have 30 minutes just to myself. I will not begin work if I did not have those 30 minutes.
So good.
To myself.
Yeah.
because otherwise I'm not going to be fulfilled. My work is not going to
Yeah.
be aligned. I'm going to be in that pressure, go, go, go.
Yeah.
I need that transition
Yeah.
to come back to myself and be like, okay, yes, I have a to-do list, but what do I feel really called to do today? What does my soul want? What are the messages that I'm receiving? What am I feeling into? And sometimes I'm dancing, sometimes I'm chanting, sometimes I'm meditating, sometimes I'm journaling, sometimes I'm walking. There's so many different things that you can do.
Right.
And then I do a few things that are on my to-do list. And then I always give myself space after lunch to just flow. What do I feel like doing? And so that's really just a creative window. I don't look at my to-do list.
Yeah.
If I'm excited to record that podcast, I will. If I don't feel like it, but I want to do something else, I will.
Yeah. I think that's so much of I know that so much of the feminine is really leaning into understanding and listening to your body, but then again, not leaning into it so much with the wounded feminine where you give it as an excuse to not ever do anything. There's a delicate balance, but I love that you said so much about your cycle. And I know that that is a huge thing. I think that's kind of like a buzzy thing right now where people are learning, because we as women are not educated on our cycle. So if it's not something that you're really diving into and learning, you don't know a lot about it. But that alone right there, being aware of your cycle and how you feel during your cycle, is embodying so much feminine energy. And that alone could shift so much very profoundly with just the awareness of that.
Yes.
I have to take off usually the 2 days before my cycle starts.
Yeah, you can.
You know, like I'm like, boop, done. I'm not available. Like I'm just, you know, and that's even going back to kind of what we were talking about before of like, what does living in the feminine feel like in your body? It's that feeling of listening and understanding and knowing and being in tune with your body.
It's ease. It's honoring where you're at.
Yeah.
And it's understanding that rest is not unproductive. It's the most productive thing that you can do if that's what your body is asking you for.
Yeah. Amen to that. Well, I think we've had a very deep dive, depth conversation on the feminine energy. And there's so much more I think that we can talk about within this. We've covered so many, I would say we covered so much, but felt so little at the same time. So I think this episode, though, is really informative and gives so many women, great introduction, and gives so many women a picture into what being in their feminine can produce. The beauty that's on the other side of that when we're operating in our feminine. And I think this is a great introduction episode. I feel like there's probably a few more birthing off of this, depending on the feedback that I get. You kind of like share in this that we could dive into. But is there anything that you want to leave it with here?
You know, I think if any of this resonated with you and you feel called to reclaim your feminine energy, like there's so many resources online now. I've written a book about that, The Path of Femininity.
It's very good. I've read it.
I have a membership where you can come in and we do sacred feminine workshops every month. I have a short course that can help you move away from the wounded feminine into the divine feminine as well. So there's several entry points. I can share the links with you.
Yes, we'll definitely put all of that in the show notes.
But make space. We've given a lot of practical things here that you can begin with. Making space for your feminine.
Yes.
Building your life around your cycle. If you don't know about that, tap in YouTube or in your podcast. So many people speak about that today. Right. And I would say, like, really learning to trust your intuition, how she speaks to you, because your intuition is really going to be that transition from ego to soul,
the driving
wounded
force
to the sacred.
And
it's an exciting journey.
It is
waiting for you ahead.
It's exciting.
It's a
and
new
beautiful
paradigm.
A very new paradigm. Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell everyone where to find you online?
Yes.
And we will also link all that in the show notes too.
Well, you can follow me on Instagram at Ele De Posson, ELEDEPOSSON.
Yes.
My podcast, the Sacred Roots podcast.
Yes.
And then my website. There's a free training there as well, From Hustle to Ease, 60-minute free training.
That's a beautiful thing that maybe we can link that in the show notes too. I'll link all of these amazing resources and workshops and things that people can tap into more in LA's work. It's been so impactful in my life and led me to where I am now. So I'm so grateful. And I'm so glad that you were here today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, Marisa. This was super fun.
Yes. Okay. Bye. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Behind the Cusp. If you love this episode, I'd so appreciate it if you'd rate, review, or share it with someone else who's also on their path of self-growth. These all go such a long way in supporting the show. Be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find me over on Instagram at StyleCusp and follow the show Behind the Cusp. And as always, keep tuning inward. True transformation begins from the inside out.